Hello and welcome to Afternoon Cocktail. This is episode 14, Positive Coping. And today I brought along with me Brett Lena, entrepreneur out of New York City. And I've also brought Miss Ronnie Watts, a singer-songwriter from Rochester, New York, to entertain you all this episode. Hang tight and thanks for joining us. The beautiful Miss Ronnie Watts. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for being on our show. What are you going to perform for us today?
I'm going to be singing a song that I just released this weekend called "Break Your Heart." It's basically about a time that I was going through um, a breakup, and I was like, "What would a psychopath do if I was in this position?" Because I feel like I'm going very insane right now. So it's super fun to write, and yeah, I love it.
Awesome. We'll take it away.
Cool. I'm sitting pretty in my room, where there is not a trace of you. 'Cause when you told me that you found somebody else, I wanted to show you just how bad that felt. You're underneath my fingernails. It's hard to breathe, but don't make a sound before the sirens get too loud. Say that you love me, say it now. The circles and the fighting and the long talks and lying. You should think before you kiss somebody. I've already hidden your body in the backseat of the Range Rover that I stole from her. We dropped to Boise, where the boys be. I know they love me even though they call me crazy. You watch me love somebody, be the tattoo on my body. You watch us fall so hard. You watch me break your heart. I saw you laughing in the kitchen with her. We used to laugh in the kitchen, remember? And that song you're dancing to is the one I introduced you to. You loved it so much, it's all that we need. I'll play it again until our ears bleed. So baby, let's dance, I'll be your girlfriend. We're on it, we're all together again. It's the way that love is. You should think before you kiss somebody. I've already hidden your body in the backseat of the Range Rover that I stole from her. We dropped to Boise, where the boys be. I know they love me even though they call me crazy. You watch me love somebody, be the tattoo on my body. You watch us fall so hard. You watch me break your heart. And so I wrote you a list of all the things I miss, like walking in the park when it got cold, when it got dark. You let me stay right in your arms. I miss those arms, I miss your car, I miss those drives, I miss your eyes. I even miss your fucking lies. It's fitting 'cause you stole so many pieces from me. I've already hidden your body in the backseat of the Range Rover that I stole from her. We out to Boise, where the boys be. I know they love me even though they call me crazy. You watch me love somebody, be the clutch on my body. You watch us fall so hard. You watch me break your heart.
Beautiful, Miss Ronnie Watts. I love it. That's a new song,
Yeah, it
right?
is. Yep, brand new.
So did you, I mean, when you say brand new, like you just wrote it or it's brand like a brand new single? Are you releasing it?
Yeah, so I wrote it probably October or November of last year. So it's been around a little bit, but I just released it this past Friday. Um, so yeah, it's been around a while, but not for everyone.
I love it. Well, so what's your inspiration behind that song? What's the song called?
Break your heart.
Break Your Heart. And so a lot of your music you've attributed to being about being heartbroken. Who are all these guys, Ronnie? Who do I have to beat up?
I feel sensitive. Like I sometimes I feel like I definitely like to surround myself with people that I could write songs about. Like I know there's some good songs in people for
Hey, I
sure.
tell you, some of the best music I ever wrote was just from being destroyed, and I think you're not alone on that. Today our theme of the show is positive coping, and I mean, for me, music's been everything for my sanity's sake. Like I
Right?
always said, like if I didn't have music to vent on, I'd probably be just another crazy girl, right?
Yep.
But I mean, how do you feel like in terms, I mean, do you feel the same way as I'm sure music is a huge release for you?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely like uh, my main coping mechanism, and definitely turns a lot of negatives into positives, I feel like. And whenever I'm going through a tough time, I feel like, well, I could get a good song out of it, and I can harness that energy that I have of whatever situation I'm in, and put it into something creative and positive. So yeah, that's always been my biggest stress reliever for sure, is either listening to music or writing songs.
You see, people, we're not just all depressed all the time. It's just a coping mechanism, right? I mean, at one point in my life, like people would be like, "Wow, you write such depressing songs," and I'm like, "I know, but that's like where I get the most out of like my heart and soul." So you just spent a lot of time recently in. You spent a month in the UK. Can you tell us about your experience and what brought you there?
Yeah, so I'm through a management in Universal, and my manager is based in London. So I hopped on a plane for the first time by myself, at least, and went to London. I had meetings, I had sessions, I had photo shoots. I kind of worked every angle while I was there, and I also met just some really cool people along the way. Um, but I definitely learned a lot about myself too. I traveled to New York City a lot by myself. I'm super used to that, and I love New York City, and I feel like I'm home there. But being in a foreign country is a whole different experience, and I definitely realized like, okay, I want to be sharing these experiences with other people too, because otherwise I'm just stuck in a hotel room. But it was a amazing experience, and really cool.
I'm so glad that you got that experience, especially as a young girl. Like for me, travel taught me everything I know about myself, and it gave me so much inspiration to write. And, I can't wait for life to be back to normal so that we could get. We were just making plans to do all that, and then, the corona hit, and now we're all stuck in our houses. So, well, congratulations on your success and everything you've been doing. I just saw that you released a new video for your song Get Famous in California. Have you
Yeah.
been to California?
I've been to California a couple of times, and I have a very weird relationship with it because I love it there, and I think the people there are great, but also I feel like being someone who likes New York City so much, there's such a feud with New York and LA. So,
West Side, East Side, baby. Yeah.
totally. But
I hear ya. We were in California in October. And yeah, it's a totally different vibe for like two big cities. But I'm
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
100%. But yeah, we had been wanting a more like ballad, heartfelt song for a long time that we wanted to release. And I had been writing a lot of that, and nothing had been really hitting. And I got back from a trip and ended up writing this song, not really thinking about even releasing it. I just like wanted to write the song. I felt like I needed to get some stuff off my chest. And I ended up sending it to my manager, and he's like, "This is it." And I knew when I was writing it, um, like I just loved it. Sometimes you just fall in love with songs when you're writing them. So it was pretty cool.
I was surprised to see you playing piano. Pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh my God, I just fell in love with Ronnie a little bit more. Her piano playing was beautiful on it. I mean, how many instruments do you play? You play guitar. I remember you playing ukulele, and you play
Yeah.
piano.
Yep. I used to play flute in band in school. That's like a very random instrument. But yeah, I feel like I sort of dabble in guitar and piano. Like I can do well enough to get through a song, but definitely vocals are and singing is where I feel most comfortable for sure.
Awesome. Now, what's your writing process typically like? Do you start just singing a melody in your head, or do you come up with just like a playful riff on any instrument that's in your hands? Like, how do you? I'm sure it's different every time too.
Right, right. Well, it is like a little different every time, but I always keep notes in my phone of random lyrics that pop into my head. And same with melodies. I use my voice memos to keep track of all the melodies. So I always have a bunch of ideas ready to go. And but usually when the best songs come from when I really just feel like I need to write a song, like it's just like an ache. I'm like gotta get this off my chest. So usually I just grab my guitar or sit down at the piano and sort of just start playing with chords. Um, and it kind of just comes really naturally. It's almost like a different part of me is coming over because it's not a lot of thinking involved. Usually it's just kind of like flows out. Um, which usually how my best songs are made is when I'm not thinking about it too much.
Sure. So I got a real question for you. When are you and your dad gonna write a song together,
Oh my
or
god.
have you already?
We've written, oh gosh, I think we may have written one song together for my cousin's wedding. It was really sweet. My uncle had these words that he wanted in a song for his daughter. So me and my dad kind of compiled his words and made a whole song for my cousin, which was really sweet. And then we performed it at her wedding, which was really cool. But we definitely need to do that more often, I feel like, for sure.
I mean, I think that's a beautiful. If you guys are capable of doing, not everybody like writes similar styles, but I could see you guys doing an awesome duet. Her father, Mr. Miles Watts, is an amazing musician, and he just released an album like what was it, like 2 weeks ago, which is brilliant. It's a really, really great album, and yeah. So no surprise that his offspring is also even as gifted. So okay, Ronnie, where can we find your music, and where do you want to direct people so that they could find out more about you after today?
I'd say my main source is Instagram at Ronnie Sings. That's where I post most of my stuff, and where you can find everything else is there's a bunch of links in there.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on our show. Hey, Brett, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What is up? So this is Brett Lena, right? Am I pronouncing your name right?
Lena, but don't worry about it.
Lena, I am worried about it. So, Brett, thank you so much for being on your show. Brett is coming to us from New York City. This is your studio space.
Well, this is the union's workshop space. This is my union. Local 52 is IATSE. So we're film and television workers. I'm a carpenter. There's another carpenter here. There's some set dressers, some electricians. And we're all building these intubation boxes for healthcare work. You can see them here. They are little protective boxes for and when the doctors are intubating a patient. And they were developed by various doctors, and the schematics for it were sent to me by my PR doctor friend Lindsay Fox, who was very helpful in getting us the blueprints. And we've been making these for about 3 weeks now. We've sent 13 of them out to hospitals all around New York City. We're about to send 4 of them to Philadelphia.
Wow, amazing. So, okay, let's rewind a little bit. I don't mean to interrupt you, but so Brett, I already messed up your name, Lena.
Okay, that's all right.
Lena. So Brett
Hi, Kiki.
and I don't know each other at all, but I got connected to you, Brett, through a friend who I think might be related to somebody on your team.
Yes,
And
Jim.
yeah,
Jim, say
she
hi.
had a. Hey, what's up? So Tim, I know Diane, and Diane, I used to wait on her many years ago with her friends they're all actresses, and she had posted Pride about your project, and I looked into it. I was like, wow, this is incredible. So these guys, for our audience back home, these guys all worked in theater production. Well, not film and film production, film and
Film and theater,
commercial.
TV, just entertainment. Yeah.
And you guys built sets for you did especially built some pretty huge sets. So we're talking major motion picture like Wolf of Wall Street,
Yeah.
other big
I've
clients.
been in the business for 12 years now, and I've worked on all sorts of stuff in New York City, from the Wolf of Wall Street to Sesame Street. I've actually worked with Scorsese multiple times. We also worked on The Irishman, and that was a lot of fun.
That's so cool. Could you, I mean, you have to have some awesome stories. I mean, is there anything from any of those productions that you had an encounter with one of the actors or something really cool that you experienced in your experience of working in that field?
Yeah. Well, all throughout working in the film industry, you try not to get starstruck with the people who are essentially your coworkers, but you still want to, you're still a film fan too, and you want to see all these people. And so I was working on The Irishman, and I knew that it was like Pesci, Pacino, De Niro, all of these great film stars that I've been a fan of for ages, and I wanted to see them doing some filming. So every day for lunch, I would go and walk through the set and see if I could get a sneak peek of filming in process. And one day, I was actually able to find a space that I could stand there and watch Scorsese directing. And Martin Scorsese, as a director, he's very short, and he swings his hands around like a windmill like this. He's very and so I see him walk onto set, and I'm ahead of him. I'm already on set. I'm standing next to Robert De Niro has his reading glasses on and is reading a book, and another actor comes in. I don't recognize the guy. He's in heavy makeup, and he hugs De Niro and he hugs Martin Scorsese. I'm like, who is this guy that knows both of these guys? So they all sit down and they're quietly rehearsing. They're reading their lines. They're like, "You tell Tony that he's not the union. I'm the union." I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And so they do their rehearsal and they sit down across from each other. And it's just like me watching Scorsese and De Niro and this guy on set rehearsing. And it's magical. And then they yell action and they're doing the real take. And this guy stands up and goes, "You tell Tony he's not the union. I'm the fucking union." And I'm like, oh, that's Al Pacino. I didn't recognize him until he started cursing. I'm like, oh, hey, that's that guy.
That's so cool. I bet that's gotta be I'd probably would be geeking out in a corner somewhere if I was in a room with any of those people. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So okay, so now the pandemic hits. So you have the best job. Brett has the best job ever, pretty much. And now all of a sudden, coronavirus hits, and
Film industry is completely shut down. Our union has 150,000 members, and 120,000 of them were out of work in the span of a week.
Unbelievable. So, I mean, you're in the. I mean, what was the epicenter of this virus too? So, I mean, was it mass chaos around you, living there?
The thing about living in this epicenter of a pandemic, it's very interesting because the virus is hitting New York real bad, but I'm not really in New York. I'm in my apartment. So I'm, unless the virus is affecting you directly personally, you are as far away from, California or South Korea as you are from the person in the apartment next to you. Like nobody is supposed to be going outside. And so like there is mass chaos in hospitals, but in the, you know, outside in New York City, it's just a empty, quiet city for the most part. It's a very surreal experience. Like being, it's not like I was here on 9/11. I was, 13 years old. I was going to school in Manhattan. I remember very distinctly the way that a city in chaos is,
Felt, yeah.
and that's not what we're going through here. That this we're as far away from any of it as anyone else is, even though we're right here. So it's a very strange experience. My
Yeah.
mother, I think we think she might have had it and then gotten over it.
I think my mom
No
actually had it
tests,
as
so
well.
there's no fucking tests, so we don't fucking know.
All right. So now you said you had a friend, a doctor that reached out to you, gave you the schematics for these intubation boxes, and you were like, yes, I could put together a team and do this. And you did. And the reason why when I thought of you like with this show was I think about this pandemic and how I feel like the silver lining beneath all of this is I think in some ways maybe something that once was a coping mechanism for everybody has their hobbies, right? There's things that they like to do, or maybe that, I mean, you have a job that's working you weird hours, I'm sure, so like,
We are at work at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., so we have super strange hours.
yeah, I believe it, and to be pulled out of that regiment, like I'm sure like you're going crazy and you're a creative person. So you're also a photographer on the side. I remember
Yeah, I
you
do
telling
event
me.
photography.
Yeah, so everything just gets shut down, and you took skills that you have and put them into to such beautiful use. And now Brett is, he's formed a team in New York City. And can you tell our audience a little bit about how you constructed your team? You said you were looking for specific people due to coronavirus and being aware of, getting infected yourself, I'm sure, right?
So yeah, I wanted a very particular team with particular requirements. Everybody had to be under 40, and everybody has to be either living alone or living just with their partner. So keeping it a closed loop. Nobody lives with, you know, family members or roommates or could possibly like, if I'm violating the social distancing in nature here. Like a lot of this is we have to be close together. We're touching the same tools. Almost no way to do this with the sort of precautions that we really need to. And so I'm
How
trying to
many,
keep. I have six.
sorry. Okay, and how many hours a day are you guys putting into building these boxes?
We were doing like a, regular 8. We arrive when the hall opens at 9, and then we leave when it closes at 5.
So how much money does it cost, and how long does it take to construct just one box?
We've gotten so constructing one box, putting it together once we have the materials prepped takes about an hour. But calculating like how much time it takes to prep each one, because it has to be cut and sanded and then like burnished with a torch, and then you got to drill the little holes out. I'll show one of the boxes again to demonstrate. Actually, I can walk you through the whole process. Actually, so we have the pieces all together. These pieces have been sanded and drilled. And here we have Margaret is putting one together. Lovely banana mask here. Also, we cut the pieces on. So these are a couple of boxes that are further along in progress. You can see we live by the 3-minute time. Yeah, so the glue has to set along 3 minutes. So once you clamp it, you just held it firm in pressure for 3 minutes. Another box happening. And here's more pieces. So all of what we did on Friday was prepping as many of the pieces to go as possible. So we made 13 boxes worth of pieces. And today we could, bang out 13 boxes.
So now, let's say when the pandemic ends, nobody knows what life's going to resume to be like, right? But I imagine maybe you won't be working as many hours, but you go back to your regular job. Is this something you want to keep up with?
I don't know. I definitely want to keep up the ability to make things in an emergency that need to be made. These are
Yeah.
extraordinary circumstances, and if the film industry doesn't open up, you know, some people are projecting as early as July. I think that's really optimistic. I think there's a lot more that's going to happen, and it's going to get before it gets better. That's my opinion. But if this goes on for long enough, this can become a business that, like, we can make these at a pretty low cost. Right now, all the labor is free. We're volunteering, and all of the funds have been raised on our GoFundMe. I don't know if you shared the link to your followers, but
I have.
right
Yeah.
now we're doing it for free. But if we need to make it on a more massive scale and ship it further, then we could start doing it as a business.
Wonderful. Well, I think what you're doing is extraordinary. And so, if you back at home would like to contribute to the funding of these boxes, there's a GoFundMe link that I will post under our afternoon cocktail page. And please go to it. If any donation, small donation, it goes towards a good cause. It goes towards our healthcare workers that are literally putting their lives on the line every single day, especially in a place like New York City. And I know Brett's trying to spread this awareness to places beyond. Like he said, he sent out some boxes today to Philadelphia. So,
We got two
you
being
know,
shipped to Georgia soon, actually.
amazing. I think it's great. You're doing such a beautiful thing, and I wish you the best of luck. I hope the film industry opens soon because I love movies and art, and I don't know. We miss life, right? We miss
One more
the normal
note.
life.
One more note at the end of the GoFundMe thing is that right now we have uh, a whole bunch of boxes that we need homes for. We need destinations for them. So in addition to fundraising, you can use the GoFundMe link if you have a friend who works at a hospital or is a nurse. Show them this, ask them if they need the boxes, and if they can confirm that they need the boxes, contact me through the GoFundMe link, and we can send them to you, because we got them if you need them.
Amazing. I have some people out here that I might be able to send that to. So, thank you so much, Brett. And tell me, it's 52 Builds is the name that you guys are going by. And I will post that link under Afternoon Cocktails page. Please donate if you can, or if you would like to reach out to Brett, if you feel like this is something your hospital, locally, anywhere, wherever you are, can use. Brett's the man. He's the man you want to contact. Miss Ronnie, are you ready to sing us one more song?
Sure, I'd love to.
Take it away, girlfriend.
Awesome. So that you left a message. I gotta learn my lesson. I gotta stop breaking boys' hearts, telling myself I'll do it for art. Saw that you left a message. You gotta learn your lesson. You kissed me once, now I can't forget. Not really my fault. You have that effect. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I don't wanna run, never get this feeling back. I don't wanna stay here, did I just keep on crawling back? I just wanna leave, but I don't wanna go. I don't really know. Got me questioning what I want, what I'm feeling. I could go in circles till I'm stuck on the ceiling. I'm good at the probably stressing. Good for good boys going to heaven, but when I'm with you, I'm bodying it. Yeah, I'm bodying it. When I'm with you, I'm bodying it. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I don't wanna run away if I never get this feeling back. I don't wanna say hate that I just keep on calling back. I just wanna leave, but I don't wanna go. I really know. You got me questioning what I want, what I'm feeling. I could go in circles till I'm stuck on the ceiling. I'm good at this game, but I'm at defeat. You've got me beat.
I love it. Ronnie Watts, you're wonderful.
Thank you.
If you are on Instagram, at Ronnie Sings, Ronnie, where else could they find your music? Could they download it somewhere?
Yeah, you can download it on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you listen to your music. You can just search Ronnie Watts and I'll be there.
And make sure you do that, people. Okay. So thank you to today's guests. We had Brett Lena and also Ronnie Watts. I'm going to leave you off with today's theme, just some closing out words about today's theme. And today we're talking about positively coping. A coping mechanism is what you reach to for comfort when you're experiencing those tough emotions, such as anger, fear, anxiety, jealousy, frustration, sadness, or grief. We'll often cope in a variety of ways. Sometimes we reach for unhealthy ways of coping, and sometimes we reach for neutral and also the positive. Other times, and lastly, we hopefully have positive coping skills, all right? Here are a few tips for positive coping. Number 1, ensure you have a healthy support team around you. Number 2, cultivate hobbies. Number 3, develop positive self-care coping habits. Do small things every day to care for yourself. Treat yourself good. Number 4, have awareness of your emotions and develop healthy boundaries. When you start feeling those feelings of anxiety or being stressed out, just give yourself a minute to stop and think and take a note of the current situation. Take a note of the things you just gone through and the events or tasks that are coming soon. This little habit of checking yourself before you wreck yourself with your emotions and reactions will give you that feedback that you need. And it will help you make better choices. Number 5, release unhealthy relationships. Number 6, develop positive coping thoughts. Again, tell yourself what you want to believe, right? If you keep telling yourself negative and bad things all the time, your subconscious is going to start believing that. Give yourself something to work towards, make those goals, and set yourself out to achieve them and to be the amazing you that you are. Big thank you to Beau Productions for making our set and sound everything it is. And I have to say a really big thank you before we leave today. We just started a Patreon for this show. This is our 14th episode. Beau and I have worked extremely hard. And we had 3 of our first patrons sign up today, so I want to give a huge shout out to James Farley, Mike Ennis, and Peter Beau. Thank you for your support, and we hope to keep bringing you a lot more of these shows. So you guys have an awesome Monday, and I will see you soon.